You don't want a woman working on your car? That's fine, but you're going to be waiting a long time. Many years ago, I used to work as a licensed mechanic at a car dealership. The service garage attached to it was small, and I was the only licensed mechanic working there. However, I had occasional issues with male customers who would second-guess my diagnoses, watch me work on their cars from the bay door, double-check my work in the parking lot, and so on. Usually, I did not deal with customers directly, and I would have my apprentice pull cars in and out of the shop for me. However, one morning, the apprentice and the lot jockey were busy washing cars for delivery and driving to a customer's house. In the meantime, the service advisor left a work order and keys at the parts counter, and I went out the front through service to get the car. The customer was waiting in service and saw me with his keys in my hand, which made him immediately stand up, alarmed. I walked right by him and out the door, so I missed the conversation that followed. According to the service advisor, also a female, the customer asked, "Who is that chick? Is she going to be working on my car? I don't want her working on my car." The advisor responded, "The other tech is out at the moment, so it's going to be quite a wait until someone else can look at your car." The customer said, "That's fine. I'll wait for a guy. I don't want that chick touching my car." The advisor politely replied, "Understood." Later on, the advisor let me know what had happened, but I was nonplussed. I pulled the car out and put the work order and keys back on the counter. Half an hour went by, and the apprentice was still away. I was happily working on something else, bringing other cars in and out. However, the customer was becoming more and more agitated and was watching every person who came through the door. An hour later, the high school co-op student came in to get something signed, and the customer's keys were still sitting on the desk. The customer asked, "Hey, why hasn't my car gone in yet? Can't you get this guy to do it?" The advisor explained that the co-op student was not allowed to drive the cars due to liability and insurance concerns. The customer demanded that someone else bring the car in so that the co-op student could do the work, but the advisor explained that only licensed techs and apprentices could do the recall. The car jockey returned, and the advisor handed him a different set of keys. The customer was now furious, saying that he had been waiting for over an hour and had watched 5 cars go in before his. He said that he didn't care who did the recall as long as it was a guy. The advisor started listing off the names of the men who worked in the dealership and why they couldn't do the recall. At this point, the customer demanded to talk to the service manager. The manager came out of his office, lit up a cigarette, and guided the customer into the garage. He pointed at me and said, "That's my best technician. Those guys take orders from her. You can either wait for her to finish what she's working on, and then you can ask if she's still willing to do your work, or you can take your car somewhere else." The customer was quite shaken up at this point and took his car and left, 2 hours after he had first arrived. I don't think we ever saw him again, which was not much of a loss, all things considered. That manager always stuck up for me and took my side. The service advisor had a very deadpan sense of humor and knew full well that it would easily be an hour before the apprentice was back.